Spent some time up in Juneau, Alaska, and had a great time speaking for a huge Rotary organization. Spent about 3 or 4 days, and so since I'm there, I just wanted to, get in the boats and drive around. Did some fishing, ate some king salmon. Yes, king salmon is amazing. And so a tour person picked me up and said, I have to make a quick stop real quick. I said, okay, let's go. And we're in a boat, and he drives over to this place called a hatchery. And he invites me in, and there's millions of little salmon in these big tanks, just little salmon everywhere. I'm like, wow. And I'm like, man, what do you do with these fish? And he said, well, remember that big boat that we passed? I said, yeah. I said, what happens is that we load all the fish up in the boat, in these boats, and then we take them out to the middle of the water, and then we drive in a circle. And they're in the nets, and they're in the boat, and they're in this big circle. And they keep driving around the circle, and what they're doing is that they're marking the fish, and then they let the salmon go. And then they will swim all throughout the ocean, all throughout the world. But then about maybe a year, 2 years later, they'll all swim back to that same spot. And then we'll let down the nets, and then we'll catch the salmon, and you will purchase wild-caught salmon. I said, wow, that's amazing. But then I got to thinking of how many times throughout life that we've been marked the same way. How many times we've been marked with defeat, or we're marked with failure. I remember in my personal life, I struggled after I failed the first grade and was documented with learning disabilities. And people would say, Sean, you're a failure. Sean, you're a loser. Over time, repetitiously, I was marked. And so whatever I got into, whatever I tried or my particular endeavors, somehow it would result in failure. It's because my identity was laced with the word failure. So there's no sense of us talking about success and winning tactics and strategies if you don't deal with your identity, who you are. You see, that's formed. Your self-conscious is formed by the time you're 6 years old. But the good news is that through repetition, the same way, through positive believing, the same way, you can shift. You can abolish that mark. You can change the tape. So we teach in society image. Nice cars, expensive things. This is who you are externally. But the true winners exist internally. Your identity. Who are you? Because who you are will manifest around you. And if you want to change what's around you, you have to change what's in you. If you do not have a proper sense of self, if you do not have a positive self-identity on who you really are, you will cripple every relationship. You will cripple every opportunity. Playing football in the NFL, you know what the most important part of the most important piece of equipment is? No, it's not the helmet, believe it or not. It's not your shoulder pads. It's not your thigh pads. It's not the cleats. It's not even the football. The most important piece of equipment is this right here, your jersey. Because if you try to step to the game of life without knowing who you are, or step onto that football field and not having a clear sense of who you are, and not having that jersey on, the opponent won't recognize you, your teammates won't recognize you, the fans won't recognize you, the NFL won't recognize you, and you'll be arrested for trespassing. But when you step on the field, the game field of life, and you know who you are, you know where you're going, you know where you're from, that's where the power is from. If you don't know who you are, you're who they say you are. So every day, I want to encourage you, if you have a damaged sense of self, if you've been wounded, if you've been hurt, and you know what, you can easily tell you are where you are because of who you are. So look around your life. Look around look in your finances. Look at your home life. You see where it's at? That's a manifestation of who you really are. But as I mentioned earlier, you can change that. So one of the things I've done is, in fact, I'm not teaching you or giving you anything that I have not done myself. So I pull out a sheet of paper And I wrote down, and I write down every day, this is who I am. I'm a world changer. I'm a child of God. I'm a leader. Leaders always look to what they're going to, not what they're going through. And I write that down every single day, and I read that because the world is always marketing you a lie. The media is always telling you who you are and who you're not. So every day, take the power back. Write down who you are. Write down whose you are. Write down where you are and where you're going every day. And you read that. Change your focus. You change your life.